How's it going? So, what we're going to talk about in this little session, and it's going to sound a little weird, but we're going to go there with it. Unsportsmanlike conduct. We all know what it is in the sport world, right? So when somebody acts a fool on the field and they get called out on it, unsportsmanlike conduct. So walking up and hitting a player unnecessarily or whatever, unsportsmanlike conduct, right? So, but what I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to take it to a different spectrum. So just go with me on it, okay? So, unsportsmanlike conduct. Now, step back and imagine the very people that you expect, that you hope would have your back, namely your family, your colleagues, your friends. And then imagine on a draw a line, right? And then imagine on a different spectrum every possible scenario that you can come up with. Right? Just name the different scenarios. Name anything that can possibly come up in a relationship, in a friendship, anything. Slandering, gossiping, right? Just any possible scenario. Right? And then one person standing there all by their lonesome, going through the hot mess of it and finding a way on the other side of it. And dealing with all of them collectively as one person. Another add on to that is a bullying situation. Trying to control the outcome of that one person while there's a whole group over here and this one person over here is just giving these guys a schlacking. How do you deal with that? When you have one over here, when you have one over here that's whooping 50 asses over here, how does that work? How do you stand alone against the tide? I'm sure there's more out there that have handled that, that have gone through that kind of scenario, where you stood alone against just the most onslaught of onslaughts of everything and anything from anybody and everybody who thought that they could come up against you in some way, shape, or form because of ego and pride and envy and all that. So to get through all that, is that just sheer will? Is that motivation? And for all you that are doing that, for all you that are out here gossiping and treating people like crap and lying on people and gossiping on people and doing all this stuff against the very people that have nothing bad to say about you. But how do you deal with that? Because in my life, I've dealt with all of the above. And no, it didn't have anything to do with pulling my hair out. That was not part of the scenario. But how do you deal with that? It's a question that I've asked myself a lot over these last few years after I've been coming to par with all of the things that I've gone through in my life as a way of reflection, as a way of healing, as a way of growth. And in a lot of my videos, I've talked about combating situations and dealing with things in a more professional and a hopeful and a loving manner. But what I'm talking about right now, unsportsmanlike conduct, is something that I'm seeing out here in the world every day. So how do we combat that? Because you can't very well quit every job that you work at because of you got a bunch of jackasses that you work with. You can't very much leave every home that you want to live in because you have a bunch of jackasses neighbors. You can't just walk out of every possible relationship you can because you'll find out the person's a jackass. Because then you'd never get anywhere. Lying, manipulative, gossiping, um, looking for any way to stab you in the back just to get ahead on their for them in some way, shape, or form, while you're over here trying to do what you got to do and hoping that you're doing the right thing. Unsportsmanlike conduct. My question to all of you out there is, how do we handle that? Because I just said it a little bit ago. Sure will. And the fact that, I mean, for me, I was trained by the best military in the world. Now, does that make me better or worse? No. It just means that when I put my nose to the grindstone, anything's possible. What it comes down to is you have to know your limits. You have to know when to set boundaries with everybody and not be scared to walk away if you need to. But setting your boundaries, knowing your limits, and staying with them. And if you know that the situation is starting to get past your boundaries and past your limits, that's when it's time to get your stuff and walk out the door. Just like I have with everybody that I know. Now, I still have a job, and yeah, I still have a place, and yeah, I still have what I need. But hey, I'm not around people that I know that are jackasses because I set my boundaries a long time ago. I set my limits a long time ago. But hope you're having a great day. Love you guys. Until next time.